I understood the guy was stabbed multiple times.
Well, we're more than once at this point. That's what we'll release,
Okay.
more than one stab wound. We don't know. That's what we're trying to determine right now, what caused the altercation, what led up to it, and then, of course, what exactly transpired once the altercation started.
How were you called to the scene?
We received a call about 4:08 a.m. On Sunday morning from a male who said he'd been involved in an altercation and was taking the other person who had been involved in the altercation to the hospital. Our dispatchers advised him to pull over and we would meet him, and we met him along with medical and fire rescue on Montana Street near George.
Okay, and so you met him there. When you got there, what was the scene? Yeah, what was it like? What did you encounter?
The individual who was deceased was unconscious and non-responsive. He was taken to St. James Healthcare immediately. Our officers began to investigate at that time and started questioning the other individual as to how the person had been injured.
And was that individual pretty cooperative, forthcoming with information?
Yes, the other individual has been cooperative with us as far as giving his version of the incident, and as well as what he told us at the scene as far as the injuries the decedent had sustained.
And so where did he tell you, where did it all take place? You said you guys stopped, he was stopped in Montana and Georgia. Where did all this happen earlier?
He advised us that the actual altercation occurred near the intersection of Bush and Roosevelt Street in an empty lot there, and then that's where this progressed from, and that's where he had actually transported the person who passed away from.
Had they been together all night?
That's what we're working on, to try and determine the exact circumstances as far as what their relationship was and how long they'd been together before the altercation occurred.
Did they, the fella, I'm trying to figure, I know there's a Pizza Hut there. I mean, do we know like what the lot, and then there's do we know like what corner it was?
I'm thinking it was probably the southeast corner. There's a lot there on that intersection. That's the most likely place. I have not been to the scene, but from what I gather, there are some markings still there where some evidence was picked up, as well as the location of some vehicles was marked at that scene.
Oh, okay, southeast corner, and yeah, there was it's a blue building.
Okay.
Yeah, there was like some marks on the ground, like paint marks.
Yeah, those are marks where our investigators marked evidence and or the location of vehicles prior to moving them.
I guess what happened? What did he tell you happened at this scene? Like, how did this begin? What did they fight over? What was the basic? What was his explanation?
I can't get into the details of his statement right now. All I can really release at this point is that he admitted he was involved in an altercation with the other male, and that he then assisted the other male to a vehicle and then started taking him to the hospital.
But he has not confirmed whether he stabbed the other male?
Again, I can't comment on what his statement is at this point. We want to just continue with our investigation. Anytime there's a homicide investigation, it's a lengthy investigation, and there's a million things to consider. So we want to make sure that when we do submit our case file to the county attorney's office, it's complete and intact as it possibly can be.
Were drugs involved or alcohol?
But at this point, we can't release whether or not drugs or alcohol were involved in this incident. We'll probably be releasing that at some point, but at this point, we're going to just maintain with what we know and what we've released at this point.
Did this happen in a car or outside?
No, it was outside. It looks like both individuals had brought vehicles to that location, and it occurred outside of the vehicles.
Were there any other people there?
No, there were no other people or witnesses that we've spoken to or been able to locate.
But they met there together. They met there in separate vehicles. So. Well,
that's what we're trying to determine, exactly how they came to be at that location together, and what the circumstances were that led to that. So that's something we're continuing to look into.
Tell me about the weapon.
The weapon involved was a folding knife. I haven't seen it. Just a standard folding knife, from what I'm told.
Where were can you describe or tell us where the stab wounds were, on what part of the body?
They were in the upper body, is about all I'll release at this point. We will get the full medical examiner's report in the coming days, but at this point, upper body is where some of the injuries were sustained.
Is it upper body or upper torso? Did you tell me
Both,
torso yesterday?
basically upper body and torso.
Head and front? Like, is that
Below the
Upper
neck?
body.
No, not really face or head, mostly arms and chest area.
you probably have been able to notify the victims, haven't you? The victim's family?
Yes, we've been in contact with some of the victim's family, but we want to make sure that all of the relatives are notified before releasing the identity of the victim. Also, that probably will come from Butte Silverbow Coroner Lee LaBreche when the time comes to release the deceased person's name.
Are they all local? Are they Butte people? Or?
Yes, both individuals are from Butte.
And are we homeless people, or how would
No, they're both Butte residents, and they are familiar with each other from past experience, as far as we know. But again, we're looking into that relationship to see what the circumstances are.
Can you tell us what the state of the mind was with the gentleman that called? Was he distraught, or what? Can you kind of talk about that when he phoned?
No, I can't really discuss the state of mind he was in. Obviously, he was deeply concerned and contacted us on the way up there so that he could get help for the injured party.
did he have any injuries, the suspect?
I can't really comment on the suspect or the other involved parties' injuries at this point. Those are things that we're documenting in the overall investigation. So we'll talk about that at some point. But at this point, we're probably not going to release injuries on the other person.
Can I just ask, is this fella claiming it was like a self-defense situation?
You know, I'm not going to talk about what the person's version of this incident is. We still have a long way to go. We're less than 36 hours into this investigation, so there's a long way to go in the investigation, and I just want to make sure that we have a complete investigation before we release other individuals' versions of the incident.
He's still being held then, I guess.
He's still incarcerated, yes.
But no charges.
No charges at this time.
So he's just being held on what would be the official title, or what's he being held on?
And this is considered a 48-hour investigative hold.
So that would expire then pretty much tomorrow morning then? Because he got arrested Sunday morning, correct?
Yes, that would be probably we're less than 24 hours left on that investigative hold.
But Sheriff, technically this isn't an arrest, correct?
No, it's not an arrest. It is a hold based on continuing investigation into the incident.
Can you tell us what kind of cars were at the scene? Something like that?
I can't. I know the one vehicle that the individual was being transported to the hospital was a minivan.
It was a minivan.
A
And that-
minivan?
Yes,
That was the suspect's vehicle, I guess?
that's the person who was transporting the injured party. That was his vehicle, and it was a minivan.
And Sheriff, technically speaking, is this man a suspect?
I wouldn't consider him a suspect at this time. I would again continue to consider him a person of interest in this incident. Again, we're very early into the investigation, and our focus is to make sure that we have all the facts so the county attorney can make a decision on what, if any, charges in this incident would be appropriate.
About what time would you say the stabbing occurred?
Well, it came to our department. The call was placed at 4:08 a.m. Our officers were on scene at 4:12 a.m. At Montana and George. So I would say within the preceding 10 minutes of the time the call was placed.
Any witnesses to this incident? at
No,
all?
we haven't located anyone who actually saw the altercation at all.
Anyone here?
Not that we know of. No, we haven't we haven't located any witnesses who either saw or heard the actual altercation.
So yesterday you said the preliminary autopsy report would come today. Are you now thinking that it's not coming today?
No, the autopsy report, the preliminary, we did have a detective who accompanied the body to the crime lab and was present during the autopsy. So we do have, we don't have the final report from the medical examiner, but we do have a pretty good idea of what's coming in that report, as well as documentation of what the injuries are.
but you haven't been able to label it a homicide, and they'd like to get.
We'll,
can you label this?
We'll let that up to the medical examiner. Obviously, anytime a person is deceased as a result of another person's action, it is a homicide. So what we're trying to determine now is what the circumstances were that led to the altercation that ended up in this person's death.